Friends, welcome to Dawn Agreement, a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign. This will be a series of players running through solo games in the same region of a world, the continent of Acas, and their games will be interconnected. You're going to be getting short, pretty much daily drops of this kind of content, so there should be 2 or 3 episodes a week. And yes, let's begin with you. Shahbaz Hafez, is that right?
Correct. Or Shahbaz. You can just call me Baz.
Of course, Baz. We start with you as part of a dwarven caravan leaving the eastern side of the holy city of Park. You and the rest of your traveling companions are holed up in these wagons, making your way west. Not all of you are going to the same place. In fact, none of them are going to where you're going, but you are all headed together somewhere. It smells of chemicals. It smells of unwashed bodies. Even now, into your first few days of travel, it was a surly and silent and grim lot who seem to not accept your presence or the presence of any others in their caravan. None have made you welcome in any way, nor have they attempted to seek you out. Is there anything you want to do before you arrive at the next waypoint of your journey, where you will be transiting off to a different method of travel? In fact,
is there anyone
while
I
we
can
get the
listen on?
Skyrim cam on you, why don't you tell us what you look like?
Baz is in traditional Arabic garb. He has a long pants, light green shirt on with long sleeves. He's a 2 cat ears on his head and a tuft of hair. Not traditional tabaxi hair, but he does have human hair on top of that. No idea if he has a human pair of ears underneath that hair.
Please, it's too cursed. Let's just say no and walk away from that.
Oh. But he's sitting there, he's kind of looking around. He knows he's not welcome. And he's kind of listening in on what people are saying.
It is a silent journey. No one is saying anything.
Not even the dwarves?
The dwarves say nothing to each other.
Speak silence, I guess? Okay.
Yeah. The land of Kark is a dark place. You can tell that the war that recently ended here has heavily affected the local lands. Where once these wagons might have been headed to Kark filled with weapons, they now leave filled only with silence and whatever trade goods they can get out of the ruined capital. The people that you pass along the road are quiet human folk. After years of war, after years without a steady supply of food, they finally can begin the harvest again as the rains come down. I want to ask, on this wagon, are you like seated reading a book listening in? Are you just staring blankly into the distance? Look, my cat sometimes will do this thing where she gets up and she just walks in circles so that I'll pay attention to her, but she'll pretend like she doesn't want me to look at her.
If we're in the city still, I would probably be keeping an eye around, seeing kind of what's going on, what everyone is doing around the town as we pass through it.
Your day's out of the city by now.
Okay. Then, yeah, I'd probably just be reading a book.
Okay. You are dropped unceremoniously and without any talking. Your stowage removed from the carts, and your presence no longer welcome at a small village along a river where a somewhat more friendly reception awaits you here. These people on the very northern end of Carcass perhaps had it not the best, but the least worst. And they are happy to see one of the renowned tabaxi merchants in their town. And You can tell that they're holding like a town meeting on the evening of your arrival. And we cut to the town's leader, who is standing at a podium in flickering torchlight looking out at everyone, and he says, "Pursuant to regular business, we will speak of new business within the town. Of course, with the end of the war, the burden of taxes has been lessened, and so only 15% of the local harvest and goods is required. Therefore, I hope that we all have another excellent year, as we have and will continue to have. All praise be to Cock. In terms of old business, of course, the Johnstons are up to their old chicken feud tricks. I would ask that all residents remain away from the Johnston farm for the duration of the chicken crisis. I see that we have a new arrival in town." And so he slowly closes the book in front of him and adjusts his glasses. "Young man, I can't see you very well. Can you step over here and introduce yourself, traveler? Might we know your business?"
So I approach, I assume, a crowd of people.
Oh, yes.
Is it kind of like a town square?
Oh, yeah. So we're talking a podium that's like in the center of a village green, and everyone has gathered around it. Most of them are on the front side of whoever the speaker is. Several people have fallen asleep, and others are just talking amongst themselves or have already started drinking while waiting for this gentleman to finish his speech.
So,
But now you have hundreds of people turn to look at you.
Joy. I give a slight bow. I introduce myself. My name is Shahbaz Hafez. I have come here due to word of natural disasters.
Oh, yes, of course. You're here for the gondolier. My apologies, Mr. Shahbaz. I must say this is quite an honor to have an agent of the Dawn Agreement passing through our town. Might I inquire into your profession and speciality?
I typically work with my fellow tabaxi merchants as the contract writer. Writing is a very useful skill, and I happen to have it.
So when you say that, this guy's like, a writer, huh? I see. And suddenly you've gotten the interest of several people in the town who are just like, excuse me, could you look at this contract that I have? I've been having a matter of contention for some years with the Johnstons. And everybody in the town suddenly goes, oh my God. Somebody's just like, Grey Kark, give me the strength to get through this one. But yeah, you do gather a swarm of people around you. It becomes clear to you that the mayor, he's not the only person in town who knows how to write and read, but he definitely is the one who handles most of the contract work. And so he's also the one that interprets them, and people are looking for a second opinion.
Okay, please calm down. I will be glad to help you guys once I am more settled down in this town.
A child grabs your tail.
I jump.
Perfect.
That was unexpected.
Fantastic. There are children all behind you when you jump. Seriously, like 30 children who are all now looking at you, getting ready to flee, and if you show any sign of anger or aggression.
That's a small number for me. I turn around and I crouch down a bit and I look at the face of the one that grabbed my tail, and I kind of reach to pat him on the head.
Now, I think you know that with cats, you have to like approach them with the hand under so they can see the hand coming. You know, is that how you do it, or you just go for the head pat?
It's not a tabaxi kid, right?
Yeah, it's correct. This is all humans.
Then I just go straight for the top of the
All
head.
right.
You're not a tabaxi. I'm not going to treat you like one.
The kid takes a half step back, but lets this happen. And then everybody bursts into like giggles and laughter and starfishes away from you in every direction.
So I look at the kid with my hand rubbing on his head. I go, please do not grab my tail. It is very sensitive.
All right. The kid's just like, okay.
If you would like to play, I can play later.
Oh, listen. The kids were running away. But now, all of a sudden, you have gathered an ominous cloud of ardent followers. Someone approaches you, pushing his way through the crowd, and he says, "Ah, Mr. Baz."
Yes, who is calling for me?
I'm the boatman.
The boatman.
Yes, name's Thanatos Grimm.
That's a very grim name. May I ask what you would like from me?
I'm supposed to deliver you, I declare.
Deliver me
I've
where?
been
I am
paid in
already
full
in town.
up front, so when you're ready to go, honestly, it's, night is upon us. If you feel that you need to leave now, we can go, but perhaps you'd like to stay the night here again. Entirely up to you. As I mentioned, I've already been paid quite a tidy sum for such a priority shipment.
Well, I wouldn't want to just say I'm going to help them out and leave right away. I can give them the night of my business. Is there a tavern around I can stay at for the evening?
Of course, of course. He glances over to what is clearly the mayor's house, a combination tavern, and says, I'll tell you what, I'll cover your room for the night. It's the least I can
Very
do.
gracious.
Yes. Well,
now, is this a human I'm talking to?
everyone you talk to in this town is human. Carcass is full of humans. There's humans everywhere. You can't get rid of them.
Don't know if a stray elf or dwarf's going to walk by.
No. I'll let you know when you see someone who is not a human. All right? And you sneeze in Carcass, human appears. It's an ancient Tabaxi saying.
Okay, then I will head towards the tavern with Mr. Grimm.
Of course.
And
I assume you're gonna go through and do your business, right? You're going to complete your contractual obligations.
Well, first I'm going to talk to Mr. Grimm and ask him, Mr. Grimm, can you give me a layout of the town that we are in? I assume you have been here a bit longer than I have, if you've been waiting for me.
Oh, here? Well, of course. Well, Pine Tree is I suppose you'd say it's a village like any other. We'll pass through several on our way through the mountains. But what can I say about Pine Tree? Certainly not the last place on the way to the inner sea. It's definitely not the first. I can say that. Folks are happy. Good work.
That's very rare nowadays, and at least from what I have seen recently.
Maybe. It's not that rare around here. We all praise Kark, of course. Very God.
I say nothing to that.
We've got our own problems, of course, like anyone else, but I'd say that we live a fulfilling and happy life. We're not fancy like a Tabaxi merchant. I'm sure we seem like small and humble folk to someone like you, but it's a good life.
Humble is one of the best qualities one can have. I wish more Tabaxi had it, to be honest.
If you're looking for Pine Tree's specialty, I think it'll come as no surprise to you that we're a logging village that sends the logs down to the inner sea. And just to be aware, when we found out he was a demon, we didn't send him any more logs. Straight to the capital only. Loyalists through and through.
Well, that is very good to hear. Can I roll what can I roll? What's that called again?
Oh, are you looking to see if he's lying or not?
Insight check. That's
Insight check, yes. Go ahead. First roll of the whole series. Insight check. Perfect. That is a 10. So that's a very average ability to read somebody. What do you want to know about this guy? You just want to know whether he's lying or not? Or are you looking for anything else?
Is he trying to get me into a sense of security, I guess?
He is. He doesn't want you to think that anyone here might have been a Jubilixian.
Okay. Now, I've been around Kark for a while. Is there a way that is there a telltale sign of one?
That someone is a Jubilixian?
Yes, I had.
Nowadays, the sign would be that they're dead. That's really trite. I mean,
do they like occasionally speak a language or something?
No, I mean, they're just normal, everyday, average humans that look just like all the other humans. It's just that their loyalty was given to a duke who turned out to actually be a demon. And some felt that when he was winning, they should be on the winning side as well. When that didn't happen, many quietly slipped back into their normal lives. There's been no search for those kind of people, if you understand what I'm saying. Like people who were Jubilixian, now that he's been sealed, no one looks twice for them.
Okay, so as we keep walking, I will kind of speak to myself, but out loud in Elvish. Everything seems to be good here, I guess.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you said there. Was that Tabaxi?
Yeah, it's just me speaking aloud. Do not pay me no mind.
What an unusual sounding language.
I imagine you don't have many other than common in this area, do you?
It's good enough for Kark. It's good enough for me.
Fair enough.
Praise his name.
Again, I say nothing to that.
Okay. I would like you to make a proficiency test with your calligraphy tools. And yeah. Use your calligraphy supplies. Is it working?
I'm clicking the die and nothing is popping up.
We'll roll a proficient dexterity roll then.
Proficient dexterity roll. Okay.
Yep.
I already have proficiency. Ability check.
Yep.
Normal, not advantage, right?
Correct. So you get +3, +2.
There we go.
Yeah, it didn't roll with proficiency. That's fine. 17 is more than good enough.
Why didn't that? I have it, so.
You do some very serious analysis of these contracts. And it turns out that the mayor has not been taking advantage of anybody here. However, you do manage to solve the Johnston chicken crisis overnight. So for years, there's been a contestation of how far the Johnston farm line goes. And the Johnsons have been saying that it extends several, 100 feet farther than what others believe. And, with that, the animals that are on that land belong to them. And they've been saying that for about 20 years. And so they took several other farms' chickens that were on the land at the time they made that declaration. However, you have come to find out that that was actually true. It is their land. But due to a bylaw in the town's founding, you are not due those chickens.
Okay, so
Do you end the Johnston chicken crisis?
Okay, so the mayor, assume Mr. Johnson, and who else is the other party in the Johnson crisis?
No, so the mayor is not Mr. Johnson.
Well, he's the guy in charge of the town, so I want him involved when
Correct.
I do this.
The Johnsons are not here. They have holed up on their farm. They're basically forming like a rebellion against the town until their rights have been, seen and accepted as they see them.
Okay.
And there are several farmers who abut their land who have all been involved in this as well. And of course, you know, the chickens from 20 years ago are all dead, right? This is a question about chicken lineage now.
Okay, so I will ask the mayor if he can find a way to get a representative of the Johnsons to the town hall so that I can settle this. And if I would ask before this, I would ask if he would allow me to rewrite the contract so that it is more clear. And I will pull out a piece of parchment from my calligrapher's supplies.
I would like you to make a persuasion check, please.
Okay,
I don't know if you see the same 3D rolls as I do, but that almost rolled over to a 1. It was real close on my screen.
That would have been fun.
It takes more than a few minutes of convincing the mayor of this. I think probably this scene plays out over a montage of like the two of you in the back room of the tavern over a candle, like pointing at papers, and he's pointing at papers. It's a lot of dramatic paper reading. I don't know if there's a way to... The only time I've ever seen dramatic paper reading look cool is either Lord of the Rings or the anime Death Note. So, you know, take your pick as to how you want to depict that. But the two of you do a lot of, I wouldn't call it arguing, but like debate as you finally come to an agreement. And you get everyone that you want in the same room and explain to them how this is going down. The question is, what should be done with the chickens? Who owns what chickens now? Because these other farmers, they want their, you know, they want their mom and dad's chickens back. But now these chickens are all interbred, and so all of the Johnston chickens at this point, who knows whose chickens belong to who?
So you said that the chickens were taken by the rightful party?
The Johnstons?
Originally?
Correct. So the Johnstons claimed that they got the chickens that were on their land. And they were right. Their land actually did extend out. But due to the town bylaws, they actually should not have done that. The
okay, so the chickens did not go to the right person. The land did.
Correct.
How many chickens were taken?
I mean, at the time, like a dozen.
I think you said, okay.
It's been 20 years now, though. So those chickens have had kids, and those chickens' kids have had kids.
I feel like...
Look, you go to the king, you have a baby, there's two women, and he's like, let me get the sword real quick, okay?
This is a lot more difficult than I expected.
That's okay. Look, you listen. It's okay for you to say I can't solve a 20-year-old problem for you people overnight. But here's how things actually should be. You can solve it if you want to. If you have the will, and, you know, if you want to commit yourself to something. But you could just get all these people in a room and say, this is how it is. Microphone drop, I'm leaving. How committed is Baz? Does he solve this entirely human problem?
So I will talk to the mayor and go, do you know how many chickens there were originally when this happened, and how many chickens each party has now, or the Johnsons have now?
The mayor gets out a leather-bound tome and puts his glasses on and says, I have been keeping an excellent ledger of the number of chickens born in Pine Tree since I have become the headsman here.
Does that ledger also contain lineage, or just the number of chickens?
It does not contain lineage. I will, however, recount for you the number of chickens by season. There will be 80 entries. The expected reading time is 1 hour and 30 minutes. Let's begin.
And I will sit there and listen to him the entire time.
So, you know, the Johnsons had it pretty good. when they picked up those extra chickens, it was a boom in business, of course, and they kind of cornered a market, right? Like, now that they have the chickens, now that they have more chickens, right? They have a corner on the egg market and, the poultry market. With that, they ended up buying more chickens, and the number of chickens on their farm increased at a greater than linear rate over the years. And now they feel confident enough, and their family is large enough that they can essentially go into rebellion against Pine Tree. We're talking like 25, 30 people in the extended family looking over hundreds of chickens. Some would say thousands.
And they started out with X chickens. They finished with Y chickens.
Correct. So there's many more chickens at the end than there were in the beginning. And they added a dozen.
They took a dozen from how many people?
From 4 different farmers. So the thing is, of course, right, like by taking those chickens, they removed those chickens from the other farmers, which made life for them more difficult.
Okay, so roughly how many chickens do they have now?
Over 1,000.
And how many years has this been?
I can't believe that Dawn Agreement has come down to chicken finagling, but I am excited for this. How many years has it been? 20 years.
All right,
we're so far away from earthquakes.
Let me look up the lifespan of a chicken. 5 to 10 years.
So like I said, these are the chickens' grand chickens.
So you said how many years again? 20?
20
years. Okay, so
now you got to do the math on how many eggs a fertile chicken can lay over the course of its lifespan.
So that's 2 generations. How long do chicken lay eggs? That's how chicken egg.
You're getting way too into the intricacies of this.
Average hen lays about 530 eggs. Oh, God.
So, look, is your plan to return an appropriate number of chickens to the farmers' families?
It was, but the numbers are getting a little out there.
Yeah. Chickens have a lot of chickens.
You said they have thousands with an S at the end, right?
Yeah. Oh, I said over 1,000 right now.
Okay, so to the 4 families, I would recommend 50 chickens to each.
Okay. I mean, your roll was a 15. That's good enough.
Okay.
The Johnsons agree simply to end the conflict and lose 200 chickens in the process. And look, there's going to be hard feelings about this in Pine Tree for a generation or more. But at least there is not war here today.
And don't worry, sometime tomorrow I will probably send you exact numbers.
The Johnson chicken crisis is over. Solved overnight by a traveling stranger and his ability to read contracts.
I will use one of the pieces of parchment from my calligrapher tools to establish a more problem-solving text version of the contract, if they will allow it.
Yes. Well, it's the bylaws that were the problem. So you
said there was a contract at some point too.
No. What I said was the town bylaws made it confusing, right?
Can I fix that with just one piece of parchment?
Yes.
Okay.
You work late into the night. It's almost 11 p.m. I mean, that in the world of Acas, that's real late. I mean, they've gone through like 6 candles so far.
Okay, so then that is resolved. And I guess at that point, I will rest for the evening, since I assume the kids are all in bed by now.
Yep, never did get to play with those kids.
Don't worry, I'll wake. What time is it right now? But when I'm going to bed?
11 p.m.
Okay, I'll wake up after 8 hours of sleep. That's like 7 a.m.
The best part of D&D, realizing you can sleep for 8 hours. Technically, you only sleep for 6 hours, and then you have 2 hours
true.
of
you have
low
6
activity.
And then 2 hour watch.
But my goodness, you could sleep for 8 hours, and the game wouldn't question it. Amazing.
So I will sleep until about 5:30 then. Get an extra half hour in there.
Okay.
And then I will wander around the town a bit, see how everyone's doing. I know it's early, so not everyone might be up yet.
Well,
If it's a
I mean,
weekday, I don't know if children have lessons of some kind. I know it's probably not big enough for a traditional school.
hey, listen, if you're going to play with these kids, all right, the teachers, the two teachers to teach all these kids are basically just like, all right, Mr. Shahbaz is here today, and he's going to teach you traditional tabaxi games. And then they go and get a drink at the local inn. Now, it's not like they leave you alone, right? Like, someone keeps an eye on you just to make sure that the kids are safe. But also, these educators need a day off. Pine Tree's a crazy place to raise some kids. I mean, there's saws and trees everywhere. Who knows what madness they could get up to? So, sun rising. What's happening? Are we talking like tag? Or are we talking like a Nerf war? What are we looking at here? You're a ranger, so who knows what kind of trouble you could get up to.
I had a list of Arabian games downstairs. I forgot them downstairs, so I'm just gonna hand wave it and say we just some traditional tabaxi games.
Okay.
If there's eggs available to play a game, some rounds of bide, we can do that, which is egg jousting. But I doubt that would be allowed. I doubt the Johnsons will be willing to just give up eggs to be smashed by kids.
That's true.
And I doubt they would allow me to teach the kids boxing. So
let's say no.
That's what I figured. I don't think we need to be teaching kids combat sports just yet. But we'll just play traditional games, probably some variation of tag, maybe freeze tag.
Okay. All right. The gondolierman, of course, is taking the things out of your inn room and packing them into the back of his boat. But he just kind of sits in the back and hums to himself while watching you play with the kids and nodding and sipping from a small flask.
Okay. And then once he's kind of packed it up and he looks like he's ready to go, I will grab one of the lecturers for the kids and just go, okay, kids, glad I got to have a chance to enjoy time with y'all. And I hope you get back to your lessons. I don't know why I said y'all. They wouldn't say that.
Look, you're setting the stage for tabaxi here, okay? I say y'all all the time. So if we want to have tabaxi be from the American South, that's perfectly fine, y'all.
Well, I'm trying to keep it with the Arabian theme you gave them.
Y'all?
But I did not want to go with an Arabian accent after I tried it. So
y'all? Yeah? Rad told me that this game would become an anime.
I am not saying yeah, so no.
Perfect. How old
if I come across a tabaxi named Nanners, then maybe.
How old is Baz?
I believe I made him 25.
Oh, okay. So he could definitely play with kids. He's not.
He's 32.
Geriatric. Oh, okay. All right. So after playing with the kids,
he probably looks younger as a tabaxi.
But what's important is that, you know, like after playing with kids for an hour, you're like, oh, they got too much energy, those kids. You know, your lower back hurts a little bit.
Yes,
your elbows feeling a little twingy.
I am 25 and they run me ragged. But I deal with a couple hundred every day, so.
What was this, 30?
Yeah, that's a small number. That's one
don't
class.
Worry, at 32, you're still like, oh, these kids. They're great. I love them so much. Ooh, oh, my shoulder. Ooh.
But I am an athlete, so I'm a little more in shape than a traditional 32-year-old.
No, I like my story better.
You would.
Is there anything you'd like to do before continuing your journey to Fairhold?
I will speak to the mayor, make sure there's nothing urgent that he would like me to help out with that can take place within maybe an hour. If there's not, I will say goodbyes and
you
join
literally just solved a crisis that's been brewing for 20 years overnight.
I'm trying to be helpful.
In your spare time. There's nothing else he needs from you.
There's nothing really going on in this town, so I figured I'd see what's going on.
The residents of Pine Tree would say there's a lot going on, you know. There's the Apple Harvest Festival in a few months, you know. It's a big one. They're going to bring out the spring pole and do a dance around it.
No, I will pull out a little notebook that doesn't show up on my character sheet, mark that down, and put that back away into a place to never be seen again. I might come back to that if my character's still alive.
still alive. What do you think is going to happen during this game? Wow, you have low expectations. It's been a while since
I don't know what
killed
your plans are.
Oh, yeah, it's just a...
Yeah, but I'm by myself. It's a lot easier.
Ah, my goodness. All right, well...
So I don't think this gondolierman is going to be a level 20. That's going to save my butt.
The gondolierman begins pushing you.
You didn't describe him. Let me just take a second to look at him and kind of see what he looks
Thanatos
like.
Grimm, the gondolierman. All right.
Yeah. What does he look like? How old is he? Does he look like he's
looking at like
shape?
6'1", all skin and bones? You know, no, barely any muscle seeming to him. It doesn't eat very well. He's got kind of a gaunt look to him.
I could shove him over and he might not be able to get up.
Yeah, I mean that's what it looks like. But his job is to push a boat upriver against the current. So
can I kind of see what his age is?
I mean, he looks like he's around his 20s, maybe late 20s. He's got one of those wide-brimmed river hats worn out of like reeds on, and like a rough hemp shirt and pants. With they stop like right above the knees, so he wouldn't be uncomfortable getting in the water. And he wears sandals.
Okay. So I'll kind of ask him, expect a good journey?
Are you saying that as like you cast off of the dock and he's doing the first push?
If we're done to the town, then yes.
Sure. Yeah, he says. Well, I'd say all journeys are a good journey, Mr. Baz. Say, why are you heading to Fairhold anyway? I hadn't heard that there was much trouble up there.
I've heard rumors of some natural disasters in the area, and I just figured I'd take a look and see what's going on.
Oh, yeah, the earthquakes, huh? And rock slides, too, I hear. You think...
earthquakes on the mountains, that's kind of goes hand in hand.
Sure. Yeah, it's a little unusual to dispatch people out there. What do you think you can do about it? Do you have some sort of power to stop earthquakes?
If it's just a simple natural disaster, I will report back that. If it is something else, then that is what I am there to make sure. It is not something else.
So you think it might... Oh, you have a suspicious mind, Mr. Baz.
I am not the one sending me here.
Right. He nods wisely to that.
Could be something that happened during the war.
Puts it in his mouth. He says, oh, the war. Well, you know, I'd say that Pinehold wasn't touched very much by the war, but Fairhold so far, or sorry, Pine Tree. But Fairhold, I don't know if the tax collector even visited them during the war. They're about as far away from Kark as you can get. Praise his name.
I guess that would make him a good target for some long-term planning. Not going to be seen doing something over there if there is something.
You're a paranoid one, Mr. Baz.
Yeah, sometimes you have to be. Or it could just be nothing.
When you say that, he stoops down, still pushing the pole with his right hand. Reaching into a bag with his left hand, he pulls out an apple and he says, "Want one?" And then he chuckles.
Not a big fan of apples. I apologize.
Okay. He stuffs it back in the bag after
More
taking
of a lemon
bite.
man myself.
Oh, so he looks surprised and he's like, "Won't find any lemons this far north. Afraid we don't have that." You know,
That's
I
fine.
heard from a traveling sailor once that he had a banana and an apple on the same day. Incredible. Incredible what we can do with shipping now.
It can only get better, too.
You know, I wonder what the ocean must be like. I've spent my whole life on this river.
Well, if things go well, I can put in a good word for you, and maybe we can get you some vacation time out there.
No vacation time. I'm a gondolierman, Mr. Baz. This is how I
no
make my
apprentice that
living.
could use the learning time?
An apprentice gondolierman?
I mean, they have to replace them somehow, do they not?
You only go two directions.
Mm. You're
Look,
still on
it's
the
not
water.
like So, yeah, you're like approaching a village and he says, look, it's not like there's not intricacies here. You have to learn the customs of all the towns up and down, all the villages. Make sure to know the right people, and if stopped, we to pay the right taxes. But a second gondolierman...
it's more than just going one way or the other.
That's what I call competition.
Yeah, I come from a business that has apprenticeships. So my apprentice Leica, she is currently back in Kark, taking care of whatever's left of my duties there. Maybe she'll be competition when I return, but that would be a good thing for her.
I'm a little young to be taking apprentices, I think.
Yeah.
That's an old man's game.
That's a good way to look at it.
No offense, no offense. You're in a different business than me. He says with a big heave of, the pole.
I guess writing would probably take a lot more practice.
He gives you the Gwent nod, where you get stuck in a cinematic with someone for a few seconds nodding at you.
I kind of just look up the river with a smirk on my face.
Okay. Take
you said we're approaching a town?
Yeah.
Where can I mark that on here?
I have no idea.
Oh, right here.
You can just write it down in your notes too. Oh, you can mark it on D&D Beyond itself somewhere.
There's a thing on the character sheet for Foundry that has it. It's right under exhaustion. Perfect.
Okay. As you pass town after town, your journey goes quickly. It only takes about 9 days to make it to the edge of the mountains that will lead you up to Fairhold. The river ends at a series of waterfalls and spillways that come pouring over the mountain, which of course there's no way to get a gondolier boat up there. But there is a backwoods mountain trail. Thanatos Grimm slaps you on the back as he finishes unloading all of your goods from his tie down spot. And he says, well, Mr. Baz, wish you well on your journey through the mountains. And, well, I hope whatever problems Fairhold may have, you can solve them.
If it's not the natural disasters, maybe there's something else I can do as a businessman, just like I did back in Pine Tree.
You have an unusual way of solving problems, that's for sure.
I'm just trying to be helpful and spread the good word of the tabaxi.
Well,
some people don't take kindly to ours. I am glad to see that there are people that do.
Perhaps, but I would say among the Carcass people, your people will be remembered for their contributions, And
that is all we can ask for, long after our deaths.
All praise be to Kark, he says. And then he undoes the line of his gondolier and just goes zooming down the river in the other direction. He doesn't even need to use the pole except to steer, right? This is the easy part of the journey. It's going back.
Once he's out of earshot, I'll just say praise Tab.
Of course. Great Tab. Who's always watching everywhere. From the highest point Tab can find.
And I will proceed up to a higher point now as I follow this trail up the mountains.
Perfect. What is your passive perception?
14.
Oh, amazing. Could I ask you to make a survival check real quick?
Survival. Is it not rolling with proficiency even though it's checked? It doesn't give me an option in the roll menu. It does not matter.
Yep, it does not matter. You absolutely blow it out, huh? Look at you. Remember when you said you didn't think I had a second map ready?
Good job.
Yeah.
I have a black screen on my end, so I don't see the map yet.
What?
Or maybe I just have to zoom out. Nope, it's still a black screen. I see a large black square with a gray background, so it's not loading in my end. At least not yet. There it is.
Don't let the audience know. The map loaded perfectly.
It is loading in now
for war.
I assume this white line is a trail. Yeah, there it is.
Correct. Can you control that token?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
Am I going south?
You are starting here in this cluster, in any of these 4 hexes or squares.
Then I will start in the bottom corner.
You are not an inexperienced traveler, and as you are passing along this mountain pass, we're gonna do the big battle map reveal here. My amazing map drawing skills. All right. So you are transiting from the southeast side to the northwest side. You're going down, up, left, up, and you know, it's like a goat path, right? It's maybe 20 feet wide, but it's all scraggly and hard to walk on, with the exception of this one cut out, maybe 2 foot wide footpath. And then there's a precipitous drop off the side of the mountain that will toss you down hundreds of feet. Your passive perception alerts you to you're like, what's that smell? I know that smell. Your survival lets you know that there are 2 wolves nearby. They have not yet been alerted to your presence, and you've actually passed one of them. They have small caves somewhat up the, is it called the Scraggle? It's the Scree? They're like positioned above you, but they could like follow a mountainy path down to get you. However,
Okay.
you survived so well that you know that if you pass by them quickly and quietly, or left them some sort of bait offering, they may never even know you were here.
So this is a forestry area, right? There's trees.
No. So this is a mountainy path, and the green area is like
I just want to make sure there are or are not trees in the area.
no trees, 0 trees.
Okay, so it's just a mountainside right now.
Mountainside, hard mountainside, very narrow path, lots of rapid elevation changes. All the green area is area that's difficult terrain because it's like a hard 45-degree plus angle up down.
Okay, then I will. Getting by them without them knowing I'm here sounds like a really good idea, especially since there's multiples of them. So I will try to stealth by them.
Sure.
Am I rolling normal or disadvantage due to the lack of
you roll
cover?
normal, and they roll advantage on their smell check.
Okay. 12.
Okay, you have inspiration. You want to use it on this roll. You can use it on any roll.
If there's a chance of a fight, I'll save it for the fight.
Okay.
Ooh.
You hear a low growl, and then a howl, a low howl, and then a response to that, like a quick yipping noise. The wolves know you're here. They're waking up. They aren't ready to move yet, though.
Okay, then I get to move first then?
Sure.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
You need to make it up to the top.
Oh, the top. I'm going up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, going up.
All right. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I will go to here.
Okay.
Then I will look to see where the northernmost wolf is looking at.
The wolf has...
As I pull out a short sword.
Has exited its cave. It's low to the ground and sniffs. And it turns its head and it locks onto you. Now,
Does it do anything else?
Well, it's not its turn yet. What are you doing on your turn?
Okay, it's my turn again.
No, it's not your turn again.
Oh, I'm still my
Just said-
turn.
Yes, it's still your
Okay.
turn. You said you moved, you looked to see what it was doing, and then you pulled out a sword, right?
I pulled out one of my short swords.
Okay.
If it's looking at me, then I will pull out my second short sword as well, I guess.
Okay.
So I'm dual wielding.
All
and
right.
that'll be the end of my turn.
So the wolves do that thing that dogs do where they hop down great distances and just casually land and then take a moment to shake themselves off. And then like silently communicating with each other with just like very subvocal growling, begin looking at you and trying to size you up. There's some chops licking. Chops licking, you know. They do not approach you yet, but you can tell. They're doing that thing that animals do when they're getting ready to charge.
Okay.
They're just
Is
sizing
diagonal
up
5 or
level of
10
threat.
feet? I can't remember.
Which way are you trying to go?
Well, that's the right click.
So that's difficult terrain there, so that's 10 feet.
Oh, I'm just like asking if
diagonals
I go
are,
like
diagonals
here,
are 5 feet.
here. Okay,
Yes.
that's 10 feet movement.
Yep.
Is it my turn again, or is it still their turn?
It is now your turn. They're trying to size you up, figure out how
I will
low.
slowly move 10 feet here and watch them.
Are you turning your back on them, or are you keeping...
I am not turning my back on them. I am watching them the entire time.
I would
I am
like you to
backpedaling.
make a acrobatics check then, to walk backwards down a mountain path. So, these wolves are no stranger to weapons of man. They see the glint of steel and sunlight. You are not afraid of them, and you are not showing your back to them in any way. An experienced ranger, they sense something about you, like I wouldn't say like a menace, but like you should not be messed with. And they hungrily return to sleep, keeping an eye out just to make sure that a predator like you does not return.
If I keep backpedaling, we'll have to re-roll for acrobatics.
You're already done.
Okay. So I make it up the mountain path. Do I see anything when I get to the top of the mountain path?
You do see something. As you crest the top of the mountain path, you see a windmill and a nearby silo, a very large lake, and a small stone tower next to it. And a small, less than a village, more like a thorp or a hamlet of people up here who seem to be in the business of mining. There's several mine entrances. Many of them appear to be blocked off, but one of them seems to be active and people are pulling material out, and others outside are processing it. And any leftovers are being dumped into the town lake.
Do I see anyone that looks like a town guard?
You do, but this is actually the end of the episode.
Okay.
It ends
I will approach
with
them
you
and the screen will go
seeing-
black.
It ends with you seeing Fairhold, and you're like, do I see a town guard? And it's you, like, looking out into the town, and that's it. That's the end.
I look out and see 30 men with arrows pointing at me. And that's the end of my character.
You're fine. All right.
Yeah.
Look, Shahbaz, a.k.a. Lawson PX32. Why don't you tell us about yourself, maybe a little bit about Shahbaz, and, yeah, that'll wrap up the premiere.
Shahbaz is he's not exactly a merchant himself. He aids the merchants by being the one that writes out the contracts. He makes them, but he rarely signs them, I would say. He serves as one of the vital pieces to finishing a mercantile transaction. Obviously, having things on paper is one of the most important things of a transaction.
Okay.
In his free time, he does spend time hunting. Back when he was in Tabax, hunting small game, sometimes medium-sized game in crews. It was just kind of how he became a ranger. And he also likes to play games around with his fellow Tabaxi.
Okay. So, go ahead.
As for me, I am just a local school worker. I work custodial. I'm a custodial supervisor at a local school, and that is really all I do during my time. Other than that, I harass AP a lot on Discord. But I'm glad to be able to be on a role-playing show that isn't eco roleplay.
Wow, you're really gonna dump on that eco roleplay coming?
I'm just saying this is a little different than the server roleplay, which I probably didn't do too much of because I'm pretty quiet in that.
Nobody did that much roleplay there.
Well, you kind of got it at the end.
Eco RP showing up in November. Friends, thank you for joining us for the first episode of Dawn Agreement. Our artwork was done by Hi Harea. You can find their name in the description section below on YouTube.
She also did the artwork for Saya Jade Falcon from Solaris Knights.
That's true. That's a BattleTech show. This is the first of 5, possibly 6 players, and show's going to be doing 8 to 10 episodes, perhaps. I hope that you'll follow all of their journeys, as each of them has a somewhat interconnected journey attempting to help out a world in need of help. That's it. Thank you for joining us. Have a good time zone.